Let me tell you real quick a little bit about me. My name is Jason Arndt, and I used to be a junior high kid. And when I was in junior high, I was what they called husky. Anyone know what husky means? You don't fit in the, yeah, I got you, right? You go to the husky section for the pants, right? And the skinny ones don't fit, the big ones don't fit. Your mom's doing the tug thing, bouncing around, you know what I'm saying? So that was me in junior high. And in junior high, like probably most of us, we have an opportunity to try to fit into a place called middle school. And I don't know about your experience or what your story was. Middle school wasn't horrible for me, but it wasn't the best thing. I can tell you a couple of memories that stick out. One is a time where I had met a buddy at church. And it was in a season where we weren't going to school, and we got to be pretty close. And when we got back to school, we were hanging out at recess. And I don't know what it was like at your school, but at mine, recess was like forever after lunch. You know, that time period that was probably only 12 minutes long, but it felt like eternity. Well, all the guys would get together and play football. And we would hang out, and what usually happens, we'd start in the middle, and it was always the same two captains, and they start picking up teams. And really, it was only they're picking the top five, and then after that, they just say, okay, the rest of you go that side, you go over there. Chuck is my buddy, and he was one of these guys who was all-time captain. And Chuck comes up, and he's picking teams, and he's doing this, and I look at him, I'm like, hey, whose team am I on? And he gives me this look. He's like, dude, are you serious? You're with me. You're on my team. And I can tell you, that was eons ago. I can still feel that. You're on my team. He helped me belong. And at that point, I went with everybody else. I don't think I got a football passed at me at all. It's okay. But I felt like I was on Chuck's team. He went out of his way to make me a part of what he had going on. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. My hope is that you've had that experience. My hope is that if you haven't necessarily been able to be pulled into something, that maybe you can be that person to pull somebody in. I'm guessing most of us have some unique stories, and for some of us, junior high was probably a fantastic season of our life. Maybe not. But that's who we get to work with a lot at camp. We've got elementary school kids, junior high, and high school, but a lot of our wheelhouse is junior high. Right now, we have school groups that are with us. They're up for the week. Usually they come Monday through Wednesday, Wednesday through Friday. And this fall alone, we'll have 65 different schools that we'll be working with. And they are hanging out, having fun. And so while we often think, oh, summer's over, so we're all hanging out drinking coffee, that's partly true, but that's just because we have an addiction to coffee. We're busy running around having a good time. And while I'm getting a chance to be with you this morning, there's a bunch of people that are working up at camp right now. Real quick, I want to give you a couple rundowns of what happens at Timberley. Timberley is a part of a larger, obviously a part of Trinity now, and we've been having fun exploring the partnership. But we've got some deep roots. Before Timberley, we had a place called Camp Willow Bay, and Willow Bay was in Williams Bay, Wisconsin, and that started back in the 50s. It outgrew that property, and a group of families came together, and they bought some property up in East Troy, Wisconsin, about a half hour north of Williams Bay. And at that time, that property had been previously ran by the Hull House outside of Chicago. Jane Addams, anybody remember that stuff from social studies class? Okay, where they would take kids out into what was kind of known as the wilderness and teach them some skills, planting, farming, all that good stuff. Well, in summer of 72, that was the first summer that Timberley opened up. They had camp, and it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of work to do. Since then, more property has been bought, buildings have been built, all that good stuff, and that gets us up to where we are today. We have a lot of fun in the summer. We had over almost 2,700 campers come through our camps this last season. We run 8 weeks of camp, lots of fun, and we go. We work hard. We run from Sunday to Saturday. And if you're thinking, when do you have time off? We have a full 25 hours off. 25 in a row. Pretty awesome. Yeah, kids come on Sunday afternoon, they leave on Saturday morning, and we have a great time. And much like when you're a little kid, when that recess was really only 12 minutes long, but it felt like eternity, try working all week and only having 25 hours off. It is awesome. It's just freedom. But we run hard, we have a good time, and then in the next couple months, actually we have one this weekend, we partner with churches. we have youth groups that come up and we do retreats. And so this weekend we have it's called Jumpstart, and it's designed to partner with youth groups and getting a jump start on their year and giving them opportunities to come hang out and be a group together. And so that happens throughout the winter. We have a thing called Winter Extreme, which is, again, the winter version of that. And so there's always something going on. On top of that, we've got groups that come and rent out the facility. So really, there's just a lot happening all the time at Timberley. It does seem like it's a far, far away. It's only an hour away from here. And it's the other side of the Cheddar Curtain, so I understand there might be some fear there. Bad jokes. Just so you know, I spent most of my time in the Chicago suburbs, still a Cubs fan, still a Bears fan, still a Hawks fan. We have adopted the Badgers. We have to be able to assimilate somewhat into the culture there in Wisconsin. So, but yeah, we still have our roots, and we're still having a good time there. I want to walk through just a couple things to let you know what we do and why we do it. Timberley's mission, we want to create engaging communities where each young person encounters Christ through a dynamic camp experience. If I was mean, I would ask some of the staff that are in here to tell us what the mission is, just to see if they remember. That's always the threat that we make. We are really big on mission. We spend a lot of time during staff training understanding where we're trying to go. We want to make sure that people understand how what they're doing on a day-to-day basis fits into our mission. And I want to walk through just a couple components of this to make you understand a little bit, hopefully explain a little bit better. I'm aware that community is kind of a buzzword around Trinity these days. And I know that with that, there's probably some really good feelings and probably maybe some things that you're wrestling with. The way that we talk about community, we talk about a place where people are coming together for a time. And for some people, that's going to be a long time. For some people, it's just a short community. And we call those temporary communities. We love partnering with churches so that they come up with their group, they have their experience, and then they go back. And so that allows that community to build and to have those shared experiences. But we really want to build engaging communities. What's it mean to be engaging? Asking questions. Getting to know each other. It's not just this, you come, you do, you leave. It's really, how do you become known? And part of that is being safe and feeling like you can trust people around you. And so when we look at our staff, we ask them to do a tremendous amount of ministry. Because really, whether you're working in the kitchen, whether you're in a cabin, whether you're on the high ropes course or you're watching kids at the waterfront, you have the reins of the ministry. We love our speakers. We love that they come and teach us. But really, our speakers are the setup people for great conversations that happen in the cabin discussions. So our cabin counselors, they run the ministry. And I can point to a bunch of them all right there. They're pretty fantastic, and I'm glad that they're here, and they're here part of this group as well. But really, we put a lot of ownership there to build that engaging community. Why? Where each young person can encounter Christ. We're youth-focused. We will have adults and everybody come, but we really want to be focused on the next generation. And again, my guess is we can go back pretty quickly in our brains and think what it was like in middle school. In fact, I'd like to take just 30 seconds, and we're going to talk real quick to the person next to you. Give them just 3 words that described who you were in middle school. And if you're sitting there thinking that this does not apply to you, you're not the exception to the rule. Please tell 3 words, middle school. Go. About 10 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's bring it back. Yell out some of the words that were used to describe you in middle school. What were some of the words? Awkward. Awkward. What was that? Fat. Any other words? Very good, very good. Now, my hope, let's bring it back in here. Come back from junior high. Come on, bring it back. My hope is that as you think about who you were at that point, is that you have grown. I would hope that would be the case. And some of us have grown, some of us have changed. We'll see what that looks like, obviously, as we continue to move and develop. But really, my hope is that you continue to grow. We're youth-focused. We try to understand kids the best we can, and youth culture is continually shifting and continually changing. And it's fun to try to navigate that. It's hard. One of my favorite things about camp is when things start. So tonight we've got a retreat. It starts Friday night. During the summer, it's Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. And we have real bad cell coverage at camp. And I'm okay with that because that forces people to have interactions with one another. And one of the favorite things to do is to walk around and just see the awkwardness and just to see what people do around a round table when they actually have to look each other in the eye and talk and engage with one another. The way that I look at it, the kickoff of that weekend, that's the farthest apart that they're going to be from each other. From that point on, they're only going to know each other more. They're only going to grow. They're only going to learn. And again, we look at our staff, and that is their job to push and to kind of facilitate in that direction as they get to know each other. We want to be youth-focused. We would love for everyone to encounter Christ. We know that we can't do that other than, being obedient to the Lord's callings. And so we do that in every way that we can. So yeah, we will have conversations with campers about Christ. We also love them like Christ. We also serve them in a selfless way. And so we really want to put our words into action. And so we look at that and go, how do we do that here? How do we get to a place where kids encounter Christ? And that might mean coming through the Outdoor Ed program where we don't talk about Jesus outwardly. It's much more we serve and we love. But then they trust us and they come back for summer, which is a different program. At that point, we're much more open about Christ. And we talk exactly about what Jesus is doing in our lives. And so we really want to see how campers encounter Christ through a dynamic camp experience. And we all know what dynamic means. Opposite of dynamic would be static, boring. We want to have fun. You saw in the video, there's always something happening. Summertime, the waterfront is always hopping. There's plenty of things to do at the craft shop, the leather shop. Our science center is fantastic. Tons of animals, some creepy crawly, some more furry. All good times, though. We've got a horse ranch. We've got about 40 horses in the herd right now. Good horses, a lot of fun. And we've got a lot of fun things that happen. It's dynamic. It's engaging. We want to have a great time there. So that's our mission. We have 4 desired outcomes that we're going to talk about real quick. We want to see these things happen as we go through our experiences. Spiritual transformation. That's a nice big phrase, right? Really, what does that mean? We want you to take ownership of your faith. I give a variation of this talk to our leaders. I'll actually be giving it this evening. And I've learned that while we are talking about kids for a lot of the times, when the gospel's being presented, when truth is being spoken from the word, it's not just for our campers. It's for the staff as well. It's for me as well. And so we want to make sure that when we're going through all of our activities and we're going through everything that we want to do, that we're continuing to take ownership of our faith. I had a conversation with my college roommate recently, and he was just talking, and we were kind of discussing friends that we had in college, what are they doing now, and kind of how they're drifting. And here's a little life tip here. If you're not intentional about taking ownership of your faith every single day, you're not going to grow. You will drift, and you'll find yourself in a spot where all of a sudden, how to get over here? You don't intend to do it. You just end up over there. So when we talk about spiritual transformation, we talk about ownership of your faith. And for some kids, that might mean wrestling, is there a God? I don't know. I don't even know if there's an answer there. For some kids, they grew up in church, and that's never really been a question. They've always just assumed that, yep, there's a God. But what does he mean in my life? What does that look like? And so we want to give campers opportunities to wrestle through that. Again, I talk about our staff all the time. I love them. They are on the front lines. They are in these cabin discussions, having some opportunity to talk to kids. More importantly, they're listening to kids. And when we talk about that engaging community, we talk about a place where campers feel safe to ask the questions that maybe they've been wrestling with. And so we want to be able to have a spot where kids ask the tough questions, where they wrestle around, and we tell our staff, hey, you don't have to have all the answers. It's okay. You can say, I don't know. You can even say, I'm wrestling with that as well. If I can throw one thing at you, for those of you that have been studying a lot, reading a lot of books, but you haven't been talking to people, if you don't take your ideas and put them into action, they just stay as ideas and thoughts. So make sure you're doing what you're thinking. Does that make sense? I have plenty of conversations with former staff that continue on in ministry after they've been with us, and a conversation sometimes will look like this. Man, knowing what I know now, doing what I do now, I should have never been a cabin counselor when I was 19. And the conversation, we go back and forth, and really the reality of it, it goes, you wouldn't be where you are now if you weren't there then. It's all a part of the process. It's all about the continual transformation and the continual growth. So if you're in a spot where you're going, I can't do that, I'm not going to be able to go into ministry, I've got all of this junk in my bag, I can't take care of it. Start getting after it. What does that look like? Spiritual transformation. We want to see that happen, not just with our campers, but with the staff and everybody. Meaningful relationships. What in the world are meaningful relationships? Again, I talk about Sundays or the kickoff of times where people are, they're not sure what to do. They're not sure what it looks like to have a conversation with somebody. To have a relationship more than just a single purpose. That's what we're looking at. Those meaningful relationships. That was Chuck for me in junior high. My hope is that you have had somebody come into your life and be that meaningful relationship, to sit down and speak truth to you, to tell you the things that you don't want to hear but you need to hear. If you don't have a guide in your life, whether it's a mentor or whatever title you want to give it, I would highly suggest that you get somebody to do that. And it doesn't stop there, because I know there are plenty of people in the world that need you to be that person for them. This evening, I'm going to be talking to a bunch of youth leaders and youth pastors, and they're going to spend a weekend sleeping in bunk beds, hanging out with junior high kids, probably drinking some bad coffee and a whole bunch of Mountain Dew, and eating more sugar than they should. They're going to be sore, they're going to be tired, but they're going to be doing it because they know the costs. They know what these junior high and high school kids are facing, and they are willing to stand in the gap for them. And they want to be there for those students. So when we talk about meaningful relationships, if all we do is get focused on ourselves, we can lose sight of the people around us. So we want to see what it looks like to live outside of our own selves, to build those relationships. So cabin counselors get an opportunity to hang out with 8 kids, get to know them really well for the week. And we would love for that to happen and see that to continue to grow. Learning experiences, we want you to learn something, and sometimes that might mean that gravity always wins. If you're running down a hill and you get a little bit top heavy, you've ever seen that happen? It's always fun to watch, as long as no one gets permanently hurt, right? It's okay to laugh. We want you to learn, though. That could be at chapel, it could be in the science center, it could be in a small group discussion. We want you to learn something. We don't want you to just check your brains and just have fun. We want to have more than fun at camp. Lastly, this is probably one of my favorite ones to talk about, significant memories. It's the only desired outcome that has its own hashtag. So we talk about SIGMEMs all the time. Just a lonely girl. Wait, I messed up. Living in a lonely world. She took a... So... This went differently in my head. Anyway, all I had to do there was say one line. Hopefully, we make it better in the future. I love real life. Isn't it fun? You probably went somewhere in your head real quick, though, when I said that lyric, right? It might have been a road trip. It might have been a group of friends. It might have been some party you were at. It might have been something. It took you to that place. We all have memories. We all go there. We want to be intentional about making memories with our campers and making having opportunities to do things together. One of the places at camp that has the most ministry that happens the craft shop, and the leather shop. You want to know why? You're sitting there doing something, but your counselor's there talking and asking questions, and more importantly, they're probably quiet and they're listening to the conversations happening around the table. And so you might be making a shrinky dink. You might be making a bracelet. You might be making a Bible cover. I don't know what you're making. You're coloring. You're doing your thing. But at that moment, it's been 3-4 days. The counselor continues to ask you questions, continues to help out with stuff. You feel safe. You start opening up about the things going on at home. You trust the people around the table. You trust your counselor. And all of a sudden now the things that you were wrestling with, the things that you were kind of wondering about, you're opening these things up and you're getting them out. Why? All because you're making a bracelet, right? Don't forget about all the other things that happened leading up to that. And at some point you're going to leave camp and you're going to go home and you're going to put that bracelet or that shrinky dink in a drawer, and you're probably going to open it up at some point because you're looking for some random thing. So you open up the junk drawer and you're going to find that bracelet. And you're going to go, oh, I remember that bracelet. I made that at camp. That's where I was hanging out with Alex. That's where we had that conversation. I remember that. I should give her a call and say thanks. And so we look at everything from name tags, bracelets, shrinky dinks, all that stuff. We create those memories. We're going to wrap up in a song here in a little bit that we do at camp. And I'm not going to lie. You're not going to do it justice. You're not. You're not. And you know why? Because you care too much about what the people around you think. And this is why. Kids do motions. They have excitement. And you saw a couple clips of this in the video. 400 kids dancing around, hands in the air, having a great time. We're going to sing the line, when it goes to the left, we go to the left. When it goes to the right, we're going to go to the right. You're welcome to do that here. I'm guessing you're probably not going to do it the same gusto that the kids do. You know why? Because, again, they don't care. They're going to have fun. They're going to have a great time with it. If you want to experience it, we'd love to have you come see what that looks like. We'd love for you to be a part of what's happening at Timberley. The Lord is at work. I love watching where staff go after they're with us. A lot of them will go into ministry, and again, my hope is that we're giving you just another tool for the toolbox for whatever's going on your journey next. We would love to partner with you, give you an opportunity to try some of those ideas and theories that you have, put them into practice. So what does it look like moving forward? Bare minimum, would you pray for us? This weekend we have over 200 kids coming to hang out with us. They're going to learn about Jesus. Some for the first time, some for the millionth time. Would you pray for them? The staff, they're going to be leading those discussions and all the fun that goes along with that. If you're interested in joining the prayer team, just send us a quick email at campers@timber-lee.com. Don't forget the dash, it's important. Volunteer. We've got plenty of retreats that happen in the winter. We'll talk about that later on. We'd love to have you come up for a weekend. Come see what goes on at camp. Toss some kids down at Tubing Hill. Ref some broom ball. Have a good time up there just for the weekend. In a couple weeks, we have our roofathon. All this information's on our website. If you're looking to get out of Illinois and come hang outside for a little bit, we'd love to put you to work. We've got over 40 buildings that need new roofs. We're only doing a couple this weekend. We're not going to do them all at the same time, but we'd love to have you come out and help out with that. Employment, whether it be for summer or year-round, we're always looking for people to come join us. So plenty of opportunities there. I'll be around this morning. If you would love to stop by and talk, I'll be at the booth there, and then later on I'll be over at Wave Right and hanging out over there. If you have any questions, talk to myself, talk to any of the Timberley staff that are here embedded with you. They're doing life with you as well. Or if you have a question, please shoot me an email, jason@timber-lee.com. Wrapping up here. Our desired outcomes happen at camp. But I can tell you that my family, the way that we do life, we want to see those same desired outcomes happening in all that we do. So my hope is that you're taking ownership of your faith. You are in a great environment to do so. You really have very few excuses to continue to grow and to develop your faith and what's happening. We'd love to see you build those relationships with people around you. Maybe there's someone in your life that you haven't quite opened up to yet, or maybe they're waiting for you to ask them the questions, please dig into those meaningful relationships. Take advantage of the people that are around you. Learn, try, do things that might scare you, okay? Learning experiences are fantastic, and please make some good, significant memories. It's always good to have the signims, right? Let me pray for us, and we're going to have the band come up. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the way that you move. We thank you for camp. We thank you for a place where kids can get out of their normal routines of life. They can settle into a place where things are different, but they can hear your voice. Lord, I thank you for the partnership between Trinity and Timberley, and pray that you continue to orchestrate some fantastic programs, some just great opportunities for more kids and more staff to come to know you more and deeper. We thank you for the way you love us. We thank you that you go before us. We thank you for the plans that you have for our lives. In your precious name we pray, Jesus. Amen.